Alright, so to follow up with the 7 reasons that zombies would fail in the real world outside of movies, I'm going to do a backup to that. It's the five scientific reasons a zombie apocalypse could actually happen, although it would fail quickly, as said in the 7 reasons video. But here are 5 reasons scientifically a zombie apocalypse could happen. Let's not get excited because, as we learned in the other video, they would fail quickly. But nonetheless, our culture is full of tales of the undead walking the earth, from our religions to our comic books, but some sort of zombie apocalypse isn't actually possible, right? Actually, yes, it's quite possible. Here's 5 ways according to science. Number 5. Brain parasites, as seen in Resident Evil IV. What are they? Parasites that turn victims into mindless zombie slaves are fairly common in nature. There's one called Toxoplasmosis gondii that seems to devote its entire existence to being terrifying. This bug infects rats, but can only breed inside the intestines of a cat. The parasite knows it needs to get the rat inside the cat. Yes, we realize this sounds like the beginning of a most fucked up Dr. Seuss poem ever. So the parasite takes over the rat's freaking brain and intentionally makes it scurry toward where the cat hangs out. The rat is being programmed to get itself eaten and doesn't even know. Of course, these are just rats, right? How it can result in zombies. Hey, did I mention that half the human population on Earth is infected with Toxoplasma and didn't know it? Hey, maybe you're one of them. Flip a coin. Oh, also, they've done studies that shown that the infected see a change in their personality and have a higher chance of going batshit insane. Chances this could cause a zombie apocalypse. Humans and rats aren't at all different. That's why they use them in our test our drugs. All it takes is the more evolved version of Toxoplasmosis, one that could do to us what it does to rats. So imagine if half the world suddenly had no instinct for self-preservation or rational thought, even less than they do now. If you're comforting yourself with the thought that it might take forever for such a parasite to evolve, you're forgetting about all the biological weapon programs around the world and intentionally weaponizing such bugs. You've got to wonder if the lab workers don't carry out their work under the unwitting command of Toxoplasma gondii already in their brains. If you don't want to sleep at night, that is. You may be protesting that technically these people have never been dead and thus don't fit the dictionary definition of zombies, but we can assure you, I can definitely assure you that the distinction won't matter a whole lot once these droning hordes are clawing their way through your windows. Number 4 is neurotoxins, as seen in the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow, the upcoming Resident Evil 5 video game as well. What are they? They are certain kinds of poisons that slow your body functions to the point where you'll be considered dead, even to a doctor. Okay, well, not to a good doctor. The poisons from Fagu, Japanese blowfish, can do this. The victims can then be brought back to life under the effects of drug like, Dratrosatrama, or other chemicals like alkaloids, that leave them in a trance-like state with no memory, but still are able to perform simple tasks like eating, sleeping, moaning, shambling around with their arms outstretched. How can it result in zombies? Can? How about does? This stuff happened in Hati. I'm sure you've heard of this story, actually. There's a lot of books about it, where the most famous one, Dr. Wade Davis, in fact, actually had this happen. There's one scene where this one guy, they strapped a naked guy to this chair and a huge spike through his balls. We're hoping this wasn't true. But what is definitely true in the story is Claudius Nessie. He was a Hawaiian guy who was declared dead by 2 doctors and buried in 1962. They found him wandering around the village 18 years later. It turned out the local voodoo priest had been using naturally occurring chemicals to basically zombify people and putting them to work on the sugar plantations. So next time you're pouring a little packet of sugar in your coffee, remember that it may have been handled by a zombie at some point. Chances this could cause a zombie apocalypse is that on one hand it's already fucking happened, so that earns some street cred right off the bat, eh? But even if some evil genius intentionally disturbed alkaloid toxins population to turn them into shambless zombie mindless hordes, there's no way to make these zombies aggressive or cannibalistic. Yet. Number 3, the real rage virus. As seen in 28 Days Later. What is it? In the movie, it was a virus that turned human beings into mindless killing machines. In real life, we have a series of brain disorders that do the same thing. They were never contagious, of course. Then mad cow disease came along. It attacks the cow's spinal cord and brain, turning it into a stumbling, mindless attack cow. And when humans eat the meat, what happens is it results in how it can result in zombies, I should say, rather. When the mad cow gets in humans, they call it a Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The symptoms include changes in gait, i.e. how they walk, hallucinations, lack of coordination, for example, stumbling and falling, muscle twitching, myoclonic jerks or seizures, rapidly developing delirium or dementia. Sure, the disease is rare, though maybe not as rare as we think, and the afflicted aren't known to chase people in murderous mobs yet, but it proves widespread brain infections of the rage variety are just a matter of waiting for the right disease to come along. Chances of this causing the zombie apocalypse, the whole sudden mindless violence idea seems far-fetched. Remember, you're just one brain chemical, serotonin, away from turning into a mindless killing machine. They've tested it by putting rats in a death match style cage and watching them turning it on each other. All it would take is the brain's ability to absorb one chemical, and suddenly it's the real world 28 days later. So imagine such an evolved disease, which we'll call super mad cow or madder cow, getting a foothold through the food supply. Say this disease spreads through blood on blood contact or saliva on blood contact. Now you have the rage type virus that can be transmitted with just a bite. Just like with the movie, with one bite you're suddenly the worst kind of zombie. A fast zombie. Number 2, neurogenesis, as seen in laboratories around the world. What is it? You know, all that controversy about stem cell research. Well, the whole thing with stem cells is that they can basically be used to regenerate dead cells, particularly of the interest to zombieologists like, myself or others. The method by which they can regrow dead brain tissue, you can see where this is going. How it can result in zombies? Science can pretty much save you from anything but brain death. They can swap out organs, but when the brain turns to mush, you're gone, right? Well, not for long. They're already able to regrow the brains of comatose head trauma patients until they wake up and walk around again. Couple that with the new ability to keep a dead body in state of suspended animation so that it can be brought back to life later, and soon enough we'll be bringing back the dead as long as we can get to them quickly enough. That sounds great, right? Well, this lab dedicated to reanimation research, yes, that's what they actually call it, explains how that process of reanimating a person creates a problem. It causes the brain to die off from the outside in, the outside being the cortex, the nice part of you that makes humans human. That just leaves the part that controls basic motor functions and primitive instincts behind. You don't need the cortex to survive. All you need is the stem and you'll still be able to mindlessly walk and eat and enjoy whatever shows. This is how chickens can keep walking around after they've been beheaded, including one case where one chicken lived for 18 months without a head. Seriously, search it up, it's true. So, you take a brain dead patient, use these techniques to regrow the brainstem, and now you have a mindless body shambling around, no thoughts and no personality. Nothing but a cloud of base instincts and impulses. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we like to call real, live, undead fucking zombies. So there. Chances this could cause a zombie apocalypse. Think about it. Under a very legal system in the world, all rights and responsibilities are terminated at death. All it takes is someone with resources and a need for a mindless workforce for total obedience, slave labor. How long until somebody actually tries this? We're betting somebody in the world, maybe North Korea, will have a working zombie by Christmas. Number 1. Nanobots. As seen in Michael Crichton's novel Prey and the PS2 game Nano Breaker. What are they? Nanobots are a technology that science apparently engineered to make you terrified of the future. We're talking about microscopic, self-replicating robots that can invisibly build or destroy anything. Vast sums of money are being poured into nanotechnology. So, sure, at some level, scientists know nanobots will destroy mankind. They just can't resist seeing how it happens. How it can result in zombies. Scientists have already created nanocyborg by fusing tiny silicone chip to a virus. The first thing they find out is these cyborgs can still operate up to a month after the host has died. Notice how nanoscientists went right for zombification even at the early stage. They know the horde that is incorporated in this. According to studies, within a decade they'll have nanobots crawl inside your brain and set up neural connections to replace damaged ones. That's right, the nanobots will be able to rewire your thoughts. What possibly could go wrong? Chances this could cause a zombie apocalypse. Do the math, people. Someday there will be nanobots in your brain. These nanobots will be programmed to keep you functioning after you die. They can form their own neural pathways, meaning they can use your brain to keep operating your limbs after you've deceased and presumably right up to the point where you rot to pieces mid-stride. The nanobots will be programmed to self-replicate, and the death of the host will mean the end of the nanobots. To preserve themselves, they'll need to transfer to a new host. Therefore, the last act of the nanobot zombie would be to bite a hole in a healthy victim, letting the nanobots stream and set up a camp in the new host. Once in, they can shut down the part of the brain that resists, aka the cortex, and leave the brain stem intact. They will have added a new member to their unholy army of the undead. Now, it should be more than clear by this point that, my goal is to be a responsible researcher. I don't want to create panic here, but, all I'm saying is that on the actual day, on the actual calendar in the future, runaway microscopic nanobots will end civilization by flooding the planet with cannibalistic undead. Science has proven it.